Hi, this is Lamar, and you're listening to Getting to Third Space with Lamar and Tom. A third space is a term that refers to a safe space for people to come together for respectful dialogue in a spirit of listening, sharing, and learning. In this podcast, we explore what it means to have third space conversations, and we try to model them. If you like what you hear in this podcast, please be sure to subscribe, share it, and of course, like it. The more people join us, the quicker we get to third space as a society. Now let's get to third space today.
Hey, good morning, Lamar.
Good morning, Tom. How are you doing this fine day?
Well, pretty good, except it occurred to me that how does anybody know we're really doing this in the morning?
Well, we are.
We are. Yes.
You know, your morning is later than my morning, but that's okay.
True. That's maybe why I look more wide awake.
That must be it, yeah. Hey, you notice I have my fishing shirt on with my fishing lures, yeah?
You have your fishing shirt on. Am I strobing?
Just a tad bit, but that's okay.
Oh.
Whenever you wear, shirts that have
stripes.
those designs.
Yeah, I know. I
is
almost put on this shirt that really strobes, and I thought, no, I got to have something more subdued. So, sorry about that to all of our viewers. I will try to work on wearing plainer clothing. So,
no worries.
Yeah.
No worries.
Hey, you're just back from your trip? How'd it go?
Back from 2 weeks on the road. Yeah, with our camper, and it went great.
Yeah.
We camped our way through Colorado. We started at a bison ranch. I think I sent you a picture of the bison bulls that we were camped next to, with the fence in between us.
Yes, good.
And then national parks, state parks. It was great.
Good.
Camped by the Colorado River north of Moab for 3 days, and then in Mesa Verde, and did quite a bit of hiking there. New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, Colorado, made our way through 3,000 miles.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's quite a long trip.
It was a good trip.
That's very, very nice. 3,000 miles, if you went from Los Angeles to Honolulu, Hawaii, you wouldn't make it in 3,000 miles.
There's a lot of reasons I wouldn't make it. I'd see a whole new universe, wouldn't I? Yeah.
Yes, you would. Yes, you would.
Yeah. How about you? What have you been up to the last couple of weeks?
Oh, just stuff. I've been,
Yeah.
I joke with you off the air that I have these 2 full-time volunteer jobs that were not supposed to be full-time volunteer jobs, but they really are. And so,
Tom, the thing about volunteer jobs,
yes,
is you can unvolunteer yourself at any time.
Yes, you can. I'm time limiting these actually,
Good.
and I'm willing to do them for a certain amount of time, and that's pretty much it. And part of it is because at least in one of the roles, I'm a really firm believer that new generations there needs to be space made for new generations to step up.
Yeah.
In leadership.
Me too.
And that in one role in particular, it's really important for a new generation to step into leadership. And so, that's going to be a very time limited role for me.
I am so much in agreement with you on this, and it's a conversation I've had with a number of people lately. Over the last couple of years, I've been asked to fill some roles that I've said, I could do that job, and I could do it well, but there are people who are younger than me who have the capability and need to be in those jobs, and I have volunteered my role to be supportive and helpful as necessary, and I found that I've really enjoyed that role.
Yeah,
and
that's what I'm really.
That. Yeah,
I'm really happy to do that. I would be very, very happy to do that with somebody else that would want to step into the primary leadership role and take it over. But my time for leadership was in the past, and quite honestly, like I'm 72 years old, working on 73, right? I retired. Why? Because I was tired, and so
Okay.
You
did not re-up.
I retired, and because I was tired and I wanted to go and do things that I just had fun doing. I like this podcast.
Right.
I don't care if we have 1 listener or 1 million listeners, because we're not getting paid for this. We're not making any money on this.
We're having a good time.
We're having a good time. We're doing it for fun. And if other people come along with this to have fun and to listen to us spout off on our ideas and our thinking, because we're very honest. We don't know diddly squat, but we do have opinions, right? And so
We do.
if people want to come along with us on that ride, that is great, because I'm just having a good time.
Today's going to be one of those rides, by the way.
It's going to be a ride.
This is a table talk, and I think we spent the hour processing prior to recording this. Okay, how do we talk about things and stay out of trouble?
Yeah. I don't know if we're going to manage that one.
Yeah,
this time, but
we'll give it a good college try.
Yeah.
So I got to ask you, Tom, have you watched anything or listened to anything recently that the listeners would find interesting?
Watched or listened to, or
yeah.
I mean,
or read.
Well, yeah, I started rereading a book that I read in high school. That was a science fiction book in 1970,
I know where you're going.
Right?
Yeah.
And it was a wonderful science fiction book. It was fascinating. It didn't seem entirely possible, right? I'm reading it now, and it's scaring the bejesus out of me. And that's the book 1984.
Yeah. George Orwell.
I haven't ventured into Animal Farm yet, but I read that one as well. But that was a very long time ago. But I decided to reread 1984, and I'm finding it extremely disturbing in light of things that we're seeing happen in our country right now.
So you and I talked about this before you started reading it, and you challenged me to read it. And I said, I don't have time to read right now because I've got this photo show I'm working on,
right.
And I got this 2-week trip to plan and all. So I got the audio version of the book, which is a drama. It's a dramatized audio version. It's really, really cool. I've listened to it twice now, because it's easier to do. And I'm not as disturbed maybe as you are about the book, but it's like so many things that they talked about in the book. It's like, oh yeah, well that's happening. Oh, I can see that. Like, one of the things is this constant living in constant surveillance, right?
Right.
And I'm just a big believer in that. No matter what I say or what I do, where I go, somewhere someone is either recording it or somehow I'm being surveilled.
Yeah.
Go to a shopping mall, walk down the street, drive a car through an intersection. Yeah, it's happening.
Well, and recently I've become even more conscious of it again here. As you know, you've been to where we live, and we live in this new development that's a 55 and over community. And they just opened the new amenity center, which is, there's a big room that has meeting rooms in it and stuff like that. And then there's a fitness center. And we've got a basketball court, not multiple tennis courts, multiple pickleball courts for the people that really want to try to injure themselves. And then
that's the reason you have one basketball court.
But and bocce ball courts, or a bocce ball, I don't know if they're called courts or not, but and golf simulator. I mean, all kinds of really nice stuff. But it doesn't matter where you go in the building, you're on the camera.
Yeah, right.
You're always on a camera.
It's all for your safety and security, Tom.
Right. And of course, you love to sit. Don't you just love to sit at a stoplight sometime and you see somebody run the stoplight and you see the flash?
Yeah, right.
And they've been caught on camera running the stoplight.
Yeah.
So
have you been caught on camera ever?
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
yes. I have. And they're actually really good cameras because they get the right color of the car. They really get the license plate.
Yeah,
And
you got
usually,
that bill in the mail, and
you get the bill in the mail, and you just figure, okay, yeah, fine. Like, yes, I'm going to contest this. I'm going to go in there and say, no, that is not my fat head that you see above.
But it is an interesting book, and and if you haven't read it in a while or have never read it, it's worth reading or listening to.
It is.
And I find it entertaining, but yet I find it eerie, and I find it kind of unsettling at times. So
I find it
was
very
a
unsettling.
fun activity.
Yeah. I find it very unsettling.
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, I would recommend people pick it up and take a look at it and arrive at your own conclusions. You know,
Sure.
does it represent for you what is happening today, or not? So yeah, but here we are.
Okay,
winding up for the 250th celebration of the birth of the United States of America. I want to distinguish that from America, because America is Canada, the United States, Mexico, Central America, South America. It is the birth of the United States of America.
That's correct. Okay, so I'm going to confess that I just haven't got. I just don't get the excitement going in myself about this for some odd reason. In fact, I think maybe it is because there's so much. What's the right term? So much jockeying for position right now over who's going to do what and who's got the biggest party and who's got the responsibility to pull off the best celebration. And it's like, I don't really care right now. That's just kind of my attitude, and I'm sorry, but that's where I'm at.
Yeah. Well, I'm probably a little bit more in that direction than you. You know, I know that there will be people going all out for the celebration, and I just want to say, go for it.
Yeah.
Have a wonderful time. There's a lot to remember about the birth of our country.
Absolutely.
But I honestly, I don't know if this is a celebration of the anniversary, or if it's a celebration of life for something that used to be.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about.
I threw the first one out there, didn't I?
You did, kerplunk. Tell me a little bit more about what you're thinking with that statement.
I think our democracy has been eroding. And by the way,
okay,
when I explain this, I want to point out the fact that I am not taking this back to 2015. I'm taking it back to 2001.
Okay.
After 9/11, the Homeland Security was formed, and there was a lot of things begun to be put into place that began to restrict not just safeguard us from actions being done by people that might want to attack the United States, but also things that began to impinge upon the freedom and goodwill of people living here in the United States. U.S. citizens. There we go. There's the word. U.S. citizens. Okay. So we have seen a tightening of the security that has really impinged upon the freedoms of U.S. citizens since 2001. I'm not going to dispute whether those were appropriate or not. I'm not going to go in. I'm not going to go down that trail.
Okay.
I'm just going to say that has been happening for the last 26 years. And as that has happened with every little bit of erosion of freedom of U.S. citizens, then it's just been another brick out of the wall, or maybe, as Pink Floyd would say, another brick in the wall. With regard to our Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, the freedoms guaranteed by the Constitution. And it's.
So, Tom, can you tell me a little bit more about what you mean by erosion of freedoms? Can you give me some examples?
Well, so I think one of the things we just talked about was that you had greater freedom of movement, that you could go anywhere, and you didn't know. You were reasonably sure that you were not being surveilled. Now, part of it is in 2001. Hey, that predated Google, right? Google came about in 2004, 2005. So that predated even Google, but we didn't even have the technology at that point, as widespread as we do, that allowed for the kind of surveillance that we're dealing with right now. And so there was the beginning of the restriction of freedom of movement in the country, and the idea that you could, if you were disgruntled with the president, or you were disgruntled with Congress or something, you could have that conversation with somebody over coffee and spout your opinions, and they may or may not be picked up on tape, but most likely they weren't picked up on tape.
Okay, I'm still unclear, Tom, because why is surveillance related to the decrease of the limited freedom of movement? Help me understand that connection.
Well, freedom of movement. Okay. Yeah.
Isn't that what you had said? Maybe I misunderstood.
Yeah, I meant movement in a much more broad sense. I mean, movement being in terms of not just where we go, but what we say and who we hang out with, and things of that nature. In other words, we can't make a move per se without the surveillance these days. If I later today, I have to go to the grocery store. I have to go to the bank and the grocery store because we're out of bananas. All right. So, and we're
lucky we have bananas.
We're lucky we have bananas. So from the moment I get in my car until the moment I get home, I'm going to be on multiple cameras.
Yeah.
In all of those locations.
Yeah.
Even driving down the street.
But I still don't understand.
Oh, and GPS, which unfortunately, my car has Starlink, which means that who, Mr. Doge himself, knows every square foot that I'm traveling.
I still haven't made the connection, Tom, between surveillance and the inability to move or to.
I
can go anywhere, even though someone may know where I'm at.
Yeah, but is it not part of our freedom to be able to move without surveillance?
So you're really talking about privacy.
Privacy.
Okay, that makes a little bit more sense to me.
Okay,
because
Lamar, I don't know why it didn't make sense to you earlier. I mean,
I drove 3,000 miles. Nobody stopped me.
And you were in the mountains,
Well, there was probably this deer that was standing there that wasn't real, that had some sort of,
Did he have red eyes?
James Bond movie, with the eyes that were glowing. But so surveillance does not necessarily mean you can't move, but it means that your privacy is.
That's right. Your privacy, very compromised.
But the possibility could exist that surveillance may be a tool used to impede people's freedoms to move and to be mobile or to do what they want to do.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Now, one of our sources, which is Snopes, that we go to check things out, I believe they did confirm the story of the woman, for example, that was following ICE vehicles. I think this was in Minneapolis. And at one point, ICE pulled over and she went by, and then they started following her, and then texted her and called her and said, "We're gonna escort you home." Now, how did they know all of that?
Sure.
It's like, come on, give me a break. I mean, so at any point, if they had wanted to, they could have pulled her over and really given her hassle. And I'm sure some people would say, well, they were just protecting her to make sure she got home okay. No, they were intimidating her.
So technology has definitely opened wide open
Yep.
the encroachment onto our personal freedoms
Right.
and
Right.
privacies in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
But let's relate that to democracy.
Okay. Let's do that.
Because
I know you're more hopeful about this than I am, Lamar.
I am. I love this country. I love a democracy approach to handling, a country's government. I agree with you that we have been we have been challenged in the last 20 years like nobody's business.
Yeah.
Part of it, I think, is our own undoing. A big part of it is our own undoing.
Yeah.
We love to complain about the government. We love
Yeah.
to, and we have the right to do that. That's part of what we have, the freedoms to do. The thing I'm not sure we grasp is government is in itself as a form, can be a very good thing. Can be a really important good thing, right?
Yeah.
And the way that the U.S. has set this up and why the 250-year experiment, I think, has been incredible, has been that it's given us a unique way to develop a government that is representative of the people, rather than when they wrote that letter of independence, the Declaration of Independence, and they broke away from England, from the monarchy, from the king's approach, from being under the thumb and being told, without a voice. That started us down this path that I'm very much supportive of. Definitely, I believe that we are under severe stress, and we have been on different times. But I think you're right. Time period wise, the last 20 years, I think the stress has been incredible.
Yeah.
But why wouldn't we be under stress? I mean, to run a democracy requires people's voices to be heard, and for challenges, and it also opens up the possibility that someone would want to come in and destroy it or take it over, which we have to be careful. That's our job as in a democracy, is to say, no, that's not okay. We're going to vote you out. We're going to not allow you to do that, because we have a guiding document that tells us how this is supposed to be run. That's the Constitution. And when the Constitution is not being followed, we have the opportunity through our voices to rise up and say, no, you've gone too far. You've had enough. And by our voices through the democratic and representative vote, we can move people in or out. We still have that ability. Now, maybe we haven't done the best job of that recently, but it's still there for us to use. So I believe, even though we're being stressed and tested, that we're still on solid footing and we can make a change.
Well, so because we don't know who's listening in, I want to be really clear.
Okay.
About one thing, and that is that I am going to be more critical of the country today than you are, and of the state of things.
Okay.
It doesn't mean that I care any less about the United States. It doesn't mean that I am any less patriotic. It doesn't mean that I am somehow for the destruction of the United States, right? None of that. I'm very pleased to be a citizen of the United States, and I'm very proud to be a citizen of the United States. There's no other place I would rather live. But I also understand that the Constitution still, barely, gives me the right to say or to cry foul when I see it. And I am crying foul that we got problems. And I don't think we are as healthy as what you are suggesting we are.
Okay.
I completely agree with the solution. People need to wake up and participate. Of all parties, need to wake up and participate and be critical thinkers about who they are electing to office and how they are speaking out on issues. Absolutely. If we want to continue as a democracy for the next 2 years, let alone the next 250 years, we have really got to take our role in democracy very, very seriously. But I will say, I think we are approximately 6 months away from losing our democracy.
Lamar here. Getting to third space is always free. We don't ask you for money, but we do ask you to help us grow our audience. Hit the like button, share the podcast, and subscribe yourself. This will help us grow. Thanks. Now back to the podcast.
Tell me a little bit about why you come to that conclusion.
So I think there's some things happening right now to make it even more difficult for people to participate in the democratic process. For example, the Supreme Court, backing away from some of the decisions around civil rights. We are seeing pushes to eliminate early voting and voting by mail. We are continuing to hear the fabricated lies that our elections don't work. And they are lies.
And you use the word continuing, and I would agree, because this has been a dialogue that's been going on for years.
Yes.
It's not new.
No. I mean, whoever is losing in the election, then the election was bad.
Right.
Yeah.
You can expect that, right? That's what's going to happen.
It's going to happen. And I will go so far as to say it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat, Republican, or an independent. If you lose, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to call your lawyer and say, hey, is there a chance that we can get this thrown out because it was a bad election?
Right.
And frankly, this is why I decided to become an election judge here in Maryland, is I wanted to see for myself, how do the elections work?
Yeah.
I have incredible confidence in the elections. And when people stand up on either party and say, that was a fake election, that was a bad result, they are lying through their teeth.
You remember the hanging Chad?
Oh, for God's sake.
Remember that?
Yes.
That's when it really became clear to me.
Oh, God.
So I agree with you, Tom. I agree that people, the part I'm really agreeing with is that people believe that democracy is declining.
Yeah.
In fact, there's a Pew Research study that suggests that 70% of the respondents in the study believe that democracy is on the decline.
Yeah.
Okay. So
that's a serious problem, just in itself.
So, you think about two sides of it. And that study isn't about asking why, it's just asking what. Do you believe that it's on decline? It says, yes, we believe it's in decline. And so, 70% of the people in that study are saying, hey, we got a problem.
Yeah.
I agree that there's a problem. I don't agree that we're 6 months away from stepping off the edge of the cliff. Other than saying we may be 6 months away from that any time in history, depending on what happens and what we choose to do or not do.
So something happened to the principle of good faith. By that, I mean that there was a time when you and I were younger in this country, whoever was elected, we had a sense that we could have good faith in that person until they demonstrated that they were not worthy of that faith. That principle seems to have died some time ago. We listen to the rhetoric that's being used. I do want to suggest that it is coming more from one party than the other, but both parties, both of the major parties have participated in it. But when people are acting without character, and when you are undermining the character of people, it damages that principle of good faith. This idea that whether we are Republican, Democrat, independent, whatever, that the person that is coming into that office is acting in good faith with the electorate and is going to do their best for everybody out there. I don't see that happening right now. I see the extreme partisanship taking over that principle of good faith.
Let me reframe that just a little bit, because I agree with you. I think that and we've talked about this on this podcast before, I would say extreme polarization is another way to see that we have found ways to have polarized, have pulled us away from the table of being able to talk rationally and logically with each other and to listen, and to agree on things and disagree on others. So we've gotten to the point where we're not willing to go down that road anymore. It's either my group, my way of thinking, or the highway, if you want to use that phrase, rather than the we of representation and trying to represent the people who elected you and trying to work together. It's definitely, we have become polarized. And you're right. When you do that, you have destroyed trust.
Yeah.
So you elect anybody, and depending on the letter beside their name, you either trust them or you don't.
That's right.
But I don't think that's holding true across the board like maybe it did even a year ago, Tom. I think there are I think what I see happening during this midterm time are people are beginning to look at some of those people who are either running for an office or have been in office and have not represented them very well, and are saying, you know what, we're not interested in continuing with this anymore. So we're going to use the democratic process to remove you from your position. I see that happening. I don't know if it's going to be a lot, but it's happening in cases. Now, here's the other piece that does bother me, and that's the executive overreach. I think it's an overreach where those who are a high level of government are putting pressure on the lower level positions that are up for election, and trying to change those outcomes. Now, that's not new either. I mean, that's been happening for lots of years as well. But I think that's kind of an overreach, saying it's not important to us what the people of those areas, of those states, of those regions think. Here's what we want to have happen from the top levels down. I think that's a problem that also erodes trust in the system.
Yeah, it does. It does. Oh, I tell you.
Are we talking the same thing, Tom? In some ways,
I think in some regards, yes, we are. We're talking the same thing. I think the difference here is that you're a bit more optimistic than I am.
Yeah.
I have lost a lot of trust in the party that's in control. I've lost a lot of trust. Based upon the efforts for redistricting, based upon the efforts to suppress the vote among Black people and other minorities, based upon the kind of rhetoric that is used not just out of the executive office, but also among congressional leaders. I just feel like we are headed down a path where if control is retained by the party in power, that it's not going to get better. It's going to get far worse. and we're going to see. Well, I mean, so one of the things we're talking about, for example, that came up before we came on here was you and I are both in religious traditions that are meaningful to us and important to us in our lives. And the U.S. military has come out now with a list of the 31 acceptable religious entities for chaplaincies and so on within the military. And it's like, you know, who decided that? Who decided what was acceptable and unacceptable in terms of people's personal beliefs? So I find that to be a troubling sign. I find it to be a troubling sign that just yesterday, Congress gave a $70 billion blank check to Homeland Security and ICE without any of the kinds of things that the opposing party wanted to have in place to require ICE officers to be able to be identified, to not wear masks, to have to wear body cameras, those kinds of things. It seems like the restrictions are off. And by the way, here's your ticket to do whatever you like for the next 3 years without any questioning. So I don't see the party in control as having the ability to restrain themselves from doing some absolutely horrible things.
And I'm going to challenge you to say, by saying, Tom, regardless of the party in control, this is not something that both or all parties haven't tried to do at some levels. Maybe not at this level.
Well, but yes, but that's it. I mean, you identified the difference right there. Not at this level. I'm not disputing the fact that the other parties have attempted to do these things, but it's a matter of degree that I find very, very disturbing.
So I don't disagree that there are these things that you're referring to that are troubling.
Yeah.
Okay. I think where I disagree on is that it brings us to the brink of jumping off the cliff or falling off the cliff and saying that we're close to a collapse. I don't think we're close to a collapse. I believe that the way the Constitution is formed and the way our system is put together, that there are some deep-seated strongholds that keep our democracy alive. We have the court system.
Mm-hmm.
We have independent court systems.
Yep.
Mostly. Yeah, I know. We have to be careful that we don't give those up, right?
Right.
And that's where the voices that we have are really, really important. And I've said this before, and that's also why the voices that we vote for to be our representatives we need to hold them accountable. Here in Kansas, for example, we have people who have been long-term in their position who are getting some real serious challenges because that accountability piece has been missing, and people are finally talking about it.
Yeah.
I believe that there is not just these institutions that are deep-seated, but there's also, I think, traditions that people find valuable. And one of those is coming up this fall. I think people will find this election time, I think the turnout's going to be incredible because people are saying, hey, this is my chance.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to take it.
Yeah. So I think this is one of those conversations where you're seeing the glass half full. I'm seeing the glass half empty. But what we have in common is the solution is the same.
Yeah.
And that is a newly engaged, enlightened, and active citizenry that is willing to stand up and say, we've got to have something different than what we've had.
Yes. Within not a different form of government.
Right. But
we have the opportunity to say the way we're managing this gift that we have created is not the way we want it. And we have that opportunity to make those changes. So you did something, and you mentioned it earlier. You did something a cycle back on the election process where you volunteered to become a judge in your local election. And that inspired me, and I did the same thing. So I'm going to be I think the term is a ballot judge. This year. I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
Now,
I'm glad you're doing it. It's such a cool process. I mean, it is really seeing democracy in action. It's amazing.
Yeah. And I have the opportunity to volunteer and help and support. We can sit around the coffee table and we can make jokes about administrations. We can make jokes about our politicians. We can make jokes about, where this country's headed. Or we can say the sky is falling. Or we can say we're in a serious situation. I'm taking that responsibility on my shoulders. I'm going to do something about it.
That's right. And we both are. And that's what's great. I mean, what we're trying to do on this is that we're doing this podcast to try to say, look, one of the standards for us is if you really want to be in public office, then you need to have the ability to sit down with your opponent and have a civil conversation to try to find a way to work together. You don't want to do that. You want to keep stamping a D on your head or an R on your head or an I on your head, and that's all you're going to be. Guess what? Not interested.
Yeah.
We need you to absolutely be able to sit down and work with people and to find solutions that work for all of our citizens. And the other thing is that we are both saying we're going to get involved in the election process to help ensure that it's a fair election. Although there will be people that will claim it was completely unfair.
Because I lost, right?
Because I lost.
Yeah. Yes, and I get that. Last year, okay, there's a sports analogy here a little bit. You and I watched the Fever.
Yes,
Indiana Fever.
Indiana Fever.
Okay, it's almost comical after every game to go online and watch the women's basketball pundits. I'm going to, if I can say that, talk about the games and why the Fever lost or why they won or how the coaching was atrocious or how the coaching was, amazing, or the conflict on the team. That's the reason why, they missed the last shot. It's like everyone has a perspective as to why they lose.
Yeah.
And they're willing to point the fingers. Sometimes it's just a matter of the votes weren't there.
That's right. More people voted for the other person than for you.
Yeah.
Now, be a person of character and just say, hey, I lost. And I may come back and try again.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Yeah. That is your right to do that. It's not your right. I don't think, you do have a right, I guess.
Sure you do.
To claim that, gremlins stole the ballots or dogs ate the ballots or whatever dumb thing you want to assign to it. But it's not useful. It's not helpful. It doesn't do anything good for our democracy that we're trying to celebrate, right?
Let's wrap up with, we started with the 250th year that neither one of us are really that excited about. However, I am excited about remembering what that 250 years represent. I am excited about, becoming independent as the colonies at that time. I am excited about, the development of how this country is going to manage itself and to manage itself in the world. I am excited about freedoms that are available, given to us. I'm excited about the potential.
Mm-hmm.
Am I excited about how everything has worked over the years? I'm not.
No. Yeah.
Not at all. I think but that's part of the struggle of having this kind of freedom and independence. Is it's always going to be a back and forth challenge,
Yeah.
and we need to be on our toes, and we need to be able to stand up together for what
Mm-hmm.
the Constitution's about and what's right.
Mm-hmm.
And if we really do believe that there's freedom, and we do believe that everyone's created equal, and we do believe every voice counts, if those are the things that are valuable to us as part of this country, let's stand up for it.
Yeah. So what I'm proud of the United States is that we have, by and large, attempted to evolve and grow in
Yeah,
our understanding of
that's
who
good.
we are and who is in our country. We stood up to slavery. We stood up to fascism. We stood up on behalf of people who couldn't stand up easily for themselves and get justice coming their way through the civil rights movement. And similarly, one of the more recent accomplishments is that we have also been in support of people with disabilities.
Mhm.
And we instituted some things to make life easier for people with disabilities in our country. And scientific research. One of the things I'm so surprised that the current administration has not taken great credit for is the speed with which American scientists collaborated with others to come up with a way of putting down the COVID-19 virus.
Right.
That was extraordinary. And we should be proud of that. Instead, we got people worried about, well, I have 4 eyes in the back of my head now because of the COVID, for God's sake,
I was going to
I've
mention that when you talked about the eye,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
But, that's a moment of incredible pride for our country that we have just disdained. Not we, but some people
Yeah.
have disdained. That just amazing stuff. We've put a person on the moon, unless you believe that it was shot somewhere near Scottsdale, Arizona. But we've done some amazing things as a country, and largely because we had a Declaration of Independence and a Constitution that allowed us to organize and form in a way that brought out the very best of people.
We have a long ways to go,
I don't want to lose
Tom.
that. Yeah, we do. We've
come a long ways. This last trip that my wife and I took, and traveling through those states, through reservation territory, through very, very small towns in the desert, and seeing not everybody has had the same equal
That's
outcomes
right.
and opportunities.
No, they have not.
There's a lot of work to be done.
A lot of work.
And we are a country, yes, of immigrants. My family came from Germany, I think maybe yours as well.
Mine did as well.
But this country is also full of folks that this was their country before we came.
That's right.
And so we have we have a lot of struggles within our country that we need to be paying attention to, versus maybe not so much attention on what we're building, how we're celebrating ourselves, and yet ignoring some of our real challenges. So we have a lot of work to do still, and
We do.
yes, I have a glass half full.
Yep.
And I'm
I
excited
have a glass
about
half empty.
And I have possibilities, running over. So
But,
maybe that's a way to describe who we are, right?
Yeah, but despite how much is in your glass and how much is in my glass, the reality is that there's something in the glass.
There's something in the glass.
And that means that we can get through this and we can be better for it. So,
all right. I like
well,
that.
hey, though, we cannot end this podcast without celebrating that incredible, you brought this up, so I'm going to have to go there, that incredible 3-point shot that Caitlin Clark made.
Oh, my goodness.
In their win over the Washington Mystics.
I almost
weekend.
threw all of our potato chips on the floor when I saw that shot. It was like, what a setup.
Oh,
I mean, it was an inbound play,
Yep.
a long pass, across court to Caitlin Clark, who made her move. She was open and took the shot. It was incredible.
From where she was on the floor, it was equal in length to the shot she made in Iowa that sealed her
logo shot.
Yeah, the logo shot. Oh my goodness. And it swished. It was like, whoa.
And she turns to her defender saying, yeah, I did it. Let's end on that. That was just a wonderful.
Absolutely.
If you haven't seen it, it's worth going back and checking out the highlights.
Yeah, it really is. And one other thing, check out the highlights of what has happened in our country through Ken Burns's documentary.
I'm looking forward to that.
That is on PBS.
Have you seen it?
I've seen parts of it. It's really nice. It's
on my to-do list.
Interesting, and I think largely very honest telling of the story. So it's very good.
Great. All right, Tom.
Hey, man, we'll see you later. See you on the other side of the next Fever game.
All right, take care, man. Bye.
All right, bye.
Tom here. Thank you for listening to Getting to Third Space with Lamar and Tom. Remember to click on subscribe to get notices about new episodes, and be sure to like and share the podcast as well. Opinions and ideas expressed in this podcast are solely those of Lamar Roth and Tom Klaus, and we'd like to hear your opinions and ideas too. You can leave us a voice message on Spotify, or you can email us at the addresses found in the show notes. Also, in the show notes, you can find links to some of the things we talked about today, so you can check them out yourself. Until next time, keep moving forward toward third space.
This podcast was reviewed and approved by Jake and Ebby Dogs Incorporated.